Hi, I'm Shoestring Jane. Welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things thrifty, frugal and money saving. And today I thought I would talk about Christmas. It is fast approaching, isn't it? And I have been sitting writing an article for a blog called Mouthy Money that I write for. Well worth checking out if you like things money related. So I write a couple of articles for them each month. And this time I thought I would look at Christmas presents that aren't worth buying for people and how you can buy better Christmas presents. So I was thinking from the point of view of wasting your money and just the amount of waste, the amount of cheap tat that is bought for people and not appreciated, and how we can avoid doing that. Because personally, I am at the point in my life where I resent buying gifts for people that they're just not going to use. So I really try my best to try and find what people want, and I do some research and I ask them, and if I can't ask them, I ask their nearest and dearest, and I would rather give money. I know some people don't like giving money, but I would rather give money to, say, one of my nieces or nephews and know that they're going to enjoy spending it than buy them something pointless that they're not going to like and they're going to end up donating. And the article started with me just looking at the amount of Christmas presents that end up being sold on eBay or other online platforms after Christmas, or they get donated to raffles, or they get donated to the charity shop, or they get regifted, that kind of thing. And you get the same gifts getting regifted over and over, the same raffle prizes getting re-raffled, and we all know that's happened. I'm sorry this isn't a great picture, by the way, because I'm recording on my laptop and the camera's not really very good and it has this kind of lag. However, I need to have a look on my Facebook group whilst I'm doing this, because the first thing I did when I thought about writing the article was go and ask on my Secondhand and Frugal Life, which is my Facebook group, to see what they thought and whether, what was their least welcome gift. That's what I asked them. Their least welcome Christmas gift, in things that they just thought, when somebody gave it to them, they didn't want to be ungrateful, but basically they weren't that appreciative. Just so that we could perhaps learn from those general thoughts and not waste our money and our time buying things as well on gifts that aren't going to be appreciated. So I thought I'd go through some of the comments. There's a wide range of kind of thoughts, really, because some people loved certain gift items and the same amount of people really didn't like them. So there's a lot of this kind of, because it's a frugal group, there are a lot of comments on, why buy presents at all. Anyway, let's go through some of them, see what you think. Somebody says, Carolyn says, I cannot see the sense of buying gifts for the sake of buying a gift just because it's Christmas. As one gets older, we have mostly what we need. So our present at Christmas is your presents. And, that's true, isn't it? Just seeing the people that you love, anytime really, but over Christmas especially, is the most important thing. And the gifts should be secondary. And hopefully they are secondary. And Boo says, one of my sons gives us an IOU for a meal out together rather than an actual gift, which is kind of a good idea, isn't it? You think, well, I'd like to spend time with you in the new year. Let's go for a meal together. So, and perhaps they know they pay for the meal, which is even nicer. Loads of people hate, and my sister-in-law Elizabeth absolutely hates this, because I think she once said to somebody she likes candles, and then she got about 4 years worth of candles, to the point where she had to say, please don't buy me any more candles. There's only so many candles you can burn. I have a lot of candles, I have to say. I've got a couple behind me, and I never buy candles, and people don't buy me candles, but my daughters seem to either get given candles or buy themselves candles, which they then don't use. So I've been, every now and then, I burn them. Like if the cat does something really unpleasant in the cat litter, that's a good time to get the candle out. Generally, I don't like a lot of indoor pollution, and I think a lot of them are, as Bev says, full of chemicals, so you don't want them burning all the time. They are a form of indoor air pollution, I think. So buying candles for people, it's very tempting, isn't it? But unless they've actually asked for candles and they like a particular fragrance, maybe candles, give them a miss. Cheryl says, the first year my sister and brother-in-law were married, he gave her a new vacuum cleaner. She cried and cried. He was bewildered. He said they really needed one. So there's that thing about buying something that you feel you need or somebody needs when actually maybe they don't want that. Maybe they don't want a humdrum thing, and maybe they'd rather wait for the January sales to buy a new vacuum cleaner. And maybe they would just prefer you to have asked them for something or bought them a small, thoughtful gift rather than an expensive vacuum cleaner. And okay, the house might need it, but maybe Christmas isn't the time for those, unless you've agreed on that. Unless you've said, let's not buy presents. We really need a vacuum cleaner. Let's put the money towards that. And I think that's really fine. So it's all about conversations, isn't it? And deciding what's right for you. Carol says, we've got an app called Giftster. Now, I hadn't heard of this. I'd come across some Secret Santa gifting apps, which I think one's called Elfster, which seemed like a good idea. And we haven't used one for ourselves, for our family Secret Santa yet, and perhaps we should. But Carol uses an app called Giftster, and you can show what you appreciate and people choose and tick off the list. So you don't end up with 3 of the same thing or gifts you don't really want. So I think that's a really worthwhile thing for families. My family, we just do one present each. So anybody who is over the age of 18 and in full-time work joins in the Secret Santa. So we've got a couple who are over the age of 18, but they're at university, so they're poor. They can stay in the children's gift section. This has got to be, I think this is the worst present I have come across. This wins the terrible present. And notice it's from her ex. Leanne says her ex-husband bought her knickers and Tampax from Morrison's. I don't know what to say about that. And Elizabeth said her ex bought her a latex see-through crotchless teddy, several sizes too small. I cried, then told him to send it back. That is like buying a present for yourself, husband or partner. That is buying a present for yourself. That's not something you buy unless it's a fantasy you share. So that's a terrible one. She said she wanted to stuff it down his throat. And he is her ex, another one. Somebody got oven gloves and tea towels, but somebody else says, and yeah, I'd love that as a gift. And someone else says she's asked for those for Christmas. I think if they are useful, but perhaps you have a particular kitchen colour scheme. Like, for example, if somebody bought me oven gloves, I'd be really happy as long as they were kind of pink and green. So I wouldn't mind that as a Christmas gift at all. But it wouldn't be everybody's cup of tea. So I think it's got to be something you've asked for. And lots of people are saying, don't buy anything ornamental. It's such a personal choice, isn't it? Ornaments for your house or even ornaments for your garden, actually. People's tastes are not the same. So lots and lots of people say that. I'll come back to more in a moment. But Fiona says, and this is, it's a good point. For me, nothing is unwelcome. People have been generous enough to think of me and what I might like. So apart from a vibrating hairbrush, meant to massage your scalp as you brushed, which I got from my ex-mother-in-law, which she had thought about, as at the time I had very long hair, I can truthfully say I've used all of my gifts. And, there is something, I'm not saying be ungrateful. Somebody's taken the time and the trouble and spent the money on buying you a gift. At least appear grateful. But this isn't what that's about. This is about buying gifts that people actually want, because they're not wasting your money and not creating waste, not the chance that things will get thrown away ultimately. Kay doesn't like bottles of wine. She doesn't drink. So, if you're going to buy a bottle of wine, if you bought me a bottle of red wine or Justin, we'd be delighted. But if you bought me a bottle of Archer's liqueur, what I think my mum likes it, peach schnapps, I think it is, I would not be happy because I think it's disgusting. But so, find out what people want. Do they drink alcohol in the first place? And what do they like before you do that? Jane says, every year the same friend sends booze of some sort and I don't drink. Somebody else points out they're very good for donating to raffles and tombolas. So you could use them to cook with. Natalie says, candles. We've said that. Alcohol, we've said that. The smelly sets with certain fragrances and ornaments. I would prefer to go out for the day and make memories. They're more precious than any gift. And this is my point. Seren says, tat. Don't buy tat. Any ornaments, uplifting quotes on plaques, cheap box sets, toiletries from Bayliss and Harding, scented candles that smell of food like coffee, cranberries and cinnamon. I'm much happier with a decent bottle of wine or champagne. So again, you'd have to find out what wine she likes or just buy us champagne. I'd like champagne too. I love a bottle of fizz. However, you have to have a reason to open it. So we've got 2 bottles. I've got one from my 60th last year, which maybe we'll open this Christmas. You've got to have someone to share it with, and I wouldn't drink a whole bottle. I'm waiting to use that. Chris says, no toiletries. I only buy mine from a specific company, locally made, no chemicals and no perfumes. I'm highly sensitive to many. And that is really true for a lot of people. Myself, as I've got older, there's only certain things that my skin appreciates, and I get kind of itchy, and highly perfumed things really irritate my lungs. I just don't like it. So I think that's the case with a lot of people. I'm sorry about the lagging on this computer. I have to keep stopping and starting again because I don't know why it does it. My internet's fine, so it can't be that. Ema says, I just think if someone has gone to the trouble of getting me a gift, then that's a lovely thing to do. It may not be to my taste, but it's in the spirit, which is given. That's important. If I don't like it, then I can donate it to a charity shop. They'll make some money from it, and it's a win-win that makes people happy. So that's repeated a few times. Fiona says, my late mother-in-law used to buy me rose, lavender and violet scented toiletries, which I loved. So she actually liked those things, and her mother-in-law knew she liked that. But then my ex, notice the ex, suggested to her one year she buy me a couple of new saucepans instead, which she did. I was not impressed. The saucepans were non-stick Tefl ones, which I never used. After talking to her later, she went and got me the toiletries I loved again. The saucepans went to charity. I love the fact that these are the exes. And I have to say, this is a very female-dominated group, so I haven't got any male points of view here, so it would be interesting to have those in the comments below. Lynn says she physically cringes in shops around Christmas shopping time when she overhears people looking at gifts and saying, that'll do for so-and-so. I would hate to be the recipient. Yeah, and I've done that. I've done that in the past and bought the gift sets, the Bayliss and Harding type gift sets. You know, I wouldn't do that now, but at one point, you know, children, not much money, not much time. I did do that, guilty as charged. So I think I would never do that again. So Leanne says highly scented candles, ornaments, anything with marzipan. So edibles are difficult, aren't they? Because you think chocolate's a fairly safe bet. Sorry, just have a sip of my coffee. But not everybody likes chocolate. Mickey in my group can't eat chocolate. She doesn't eat sugar, so you know it's not completely safe. You still have to know. And edibles, well, marzipan I think is you know, it's a bit of a Marmite thing, isn't it? You either love it or you hate it. Denise says, my family stopped giving each other gifts a decade ago. Such a waste of money. I don't wear makeup and only wear one particular brand of perfume. I won't use any soaps, candles, foods or chocolate with any palm oil or derivatives in it, or that may have been tested on animals. Yeah, I'm great at parties, she says. I don't drink. However, if my family give me a bag full of old worn denim clothing, they'll get a huge hug from me as I reimagine it into denim handbags and tote bags. That's another thing where you've just got to know the person you're buying for, haven't you? Absolutely no point in buying them perfume that they don't like. Oh, one of the things that was most returned after Christmas, according to the article I read, was clothing. I mean, I do like receiving clothing for Christmas, but I've like specific things that I've chosen. I wouldn't want somebody to choose something for me. So Catherine says clothes. They often don't fit and they're not my kind of thing. Or Kerry says Christmas clothing. So don't buy someone a Christmas jumper or a pair of Christmas socks because they can only wear them for a few days and then they go to the charity shop or get tucked away maybe for next year if you're lucky. Lorraine likes experiences, a meal or a trip out, and they're things that she longs to receive now that she's older. We've often got far too much stuff already. I feel that. Too much stuff. I don't want any more stuff. I'm trying to get rid of stuff. In the end, it's easy for people to just order a modest bunch of flowers or some fancy teas. And, you know, it is. It is. She remembers as a child receiving a school satchel one year, a geometry set another. She was bitterly disappointed, but we were an extremely poor family. So, you know, that I do think buying somebody something that they need, kids particularly, that 4-gift rule, something that they want, something to read, something to wear, and something they need, something like that. You know what I mean? I would always buy my kids something that they needed, but it would tend to be kind of underwear or pyjamas or something like that. And I can see, you know, if you come from a poor family and you get a school satchel, actually, if I'd needed a new school satchel when I was a kid and I'd got one, I probably would have been really happy with that. because we didn't have much money. My parents don't have a lot to spare. But I can imagine, these days, some kids won't get anything at all. So, maybe they'll be happy with the satchel. Leslie says, I tell my family at our age there's nothing we want and nothing we need except a nice family dinner around the table. Laura says, in terms of edible gifts, I don't want chocolates, biscuits or alcohol because I'm already too fat and I don't drink much. I'm sure she's not. Any cheap made in China tat or dust collectors. I think she means things like ornaments again. Cheap toiletries again. Bayliss and Harding, sorry you are mentioned. And her pet hate is vouchers, which now I was surprised this is the first mention of vouchers. I often think of vouchers as a real safe present because, they're going to get used. If you know it's a shop that somebody uses, obviously. But she makes the point that she got a load for an engagement present, but then they were for Laura Ashley, and then Laura Ashley went under and she lost her vouchers. So you do have to think about that. Vicky and her husband don't buy each other Christmas gifts. They just buy what they need throughout the year. She always buys her adult children socks, which they appreciate, and she hates receiving toiletries. They have 7 family birthdays in December and the beginning of January, so that's really difficult. If all of your family birthdays are clustered around Christmas as well, it gets really expensive. So even more reason maybe to scale things down and to make sure that what you buy actually counts. Teresa says we're all being lulled into Christmas commercialisation. I can't say that. Christmas is for children, not adults with everything. I think we have been. I mean, it's totally commercialised, isn't it? Most of us are not even Christians that celebrate Christmas. Saffron says toiletries are definitely up there, with the exception of face sheet masks. Now, I hate those. But Saffron loves them, which I really enjoy getting because they're not the cheapest thing to buy if you get the good quality ones. Move away from Bayliss and Harding. Simone hates anything by Sanctuary. You do get a lot of those Sanctuary gift sets, don't you? All their stuff irritates the hell out of my eyes. I usually re-gift them. Also handbags, too many to count. Pointless sentimental ornaments. Oh look, Lola's come to photobomb my video. Let's see if she actually comes into it or just bashes her head against the camera. Pointless sentimental ornaments, the type Ladro-esque. Now, I love a bit of Ladro, so I'd probably be quite happy with that. She says, I know I sound ungrateful, but stop giving me stuff because you like it. Eleanor's another one who hates smelly candles. No smelly candles. What's wrong with opening a window for air? They stink and such an environmental waste. Lynn agrees on toiletries that people don't know I would like, random clothing that's not in my style or taste, candles or room scents. Just give me a book token or a garden centre token and I'm happy. Ditto. I would be happy with both of those things, but other people have already said they don't appreciate vouchers. Somebody says, Saffron again says scarves are another sinner for me. Pip says shower gel. I like baths. And soap and candles. My husband banned them since I burnt his computer. Alison says, I don't need things, so I don't buy Christmas presents, except for work Secret Santa. I'm not tight or miserly, but if you don't want anything, why waste your money buying stuff others probably don't want but are too polite to say? Me and my friends go out for afternoon tea or something at Christmas and birthdays instead. I do love an afternoon tea as well. See, that would be another gift. That's another gift I have received in the past and really enjoyed. I mean, Justin liked going out for cream teas and high teas because we don't pay to do anything like that. So if we get that as a gift, I think that's an experience I would enjoy. Although talking of experiences, Justin did once get given do you know those zorbing experiences? And they're basically a big bubble of, I don't know, it's just a big bubble, like a ball that you get in and you get bounced down a hill, which some people would love. And maybe he would have loved it at a different time, but he literally just put his back out. He had like a herniated disc and he was in agony and he wasn't going to do that. He ended up giving that to a teenager that we knew and she loved it. Claire says we don't do stuff either. I buy something for my husband and useful bits for my 16-year-old twins, by which I mean undies, socks and PJs that they would have needed earlier in the year, but we wrap them up so they get something. I always try to get them something silly for Christmas. Last year it was a kazoo. All 3 are going skiing, without me, thank goodness, in the new year, and that is their gift. Well, I think, yeah, that's a great experience. If you want to go skiing and your mum pays for you to go skiing, fantastic. She gets the gift of being home alone and in her own company for a few days. Fab. I know what you mean. And Christine says edible gifts because I'm a celiac and I also intensely dislike coffee and nuts. And that is another reason for not buying edibles unless you know for sure that people don't have food allergies or intolerances. I mean, a celiac, you literally you cannot eat anything with gluten in it, and giving it to someone is almost, it's kind of insulting, really. It's like, I really don't care enough about you to make sure that you're not going to die eating this. Same with a nut allergy. So Jane says, toiletries and ornaments. Wine is okay if it's Chardonnay, but I never get the wine I like. It's a waste of money. People buy you loads just for the sake of buying. I prefer buying for kids and not adults. And I find when I buy for kids, and we don't have many kids in the family now, Justin's got 2 nieces who are quite little, because they get so much, my approach to gift buying for little children is just to buy them some crafty things, because I know they like things like drawing and painting and Play-Doh, things that are, craft sets, things that you know are going to get used, because there's no point in me buying them one more big bit of plastic, like a fairy castle or whatever, because they've got all of that and they'll get more and they get so much. And I know, because I've seen them in action, and when I give them something like that, it could be as simple as some felt tip pens or some pencils and a colouring book. They're the things that they go to straight away. So they'll do that straight away. So I always think that's quite kind of safe. To be honest, I really like people asking me what I would like, because there's always something. I hate spending money on myself, and the thought of spending £50 on a Dermalogica cleanser and moisturiser pains me, but it's so lovely to get it from someone else. That's how I feel. So if I know there's certain things that I like, I don't mind massively expensive toiletries, but I do like to buy good quality toiletries these days that aren't full of perfumes, that are fairly natural and that are in glass rather than plastic. So they're expensive. They're more expensive than the cheap I used to buy cheap moisturiser from Aldi or Lidl, and it cost £3 or £4. But it was in plastic. I didn't know what was in it, and it started to irritate me because it was quite perfumed, particularly the Lidl one. So I save things like that for Christmas and ask the girls or Justin to get me, or my family, to get me things like that. And I've actually asked for Secret Santa this year to get me a voucher for Peace with the Wild, where I buy a lot of my toiletries. I know I can get something nice in the new year for myself. I could choose something for myself or get something in their sale. Well, this is a thing. Sammy says, because I've got a cat, my cousin thinks up amusing cat items to buy me. I get cat snap playing cards, make your own cat food recipe books, and how to speak cat books. Please just buy me a bottle of wine. The right wine, though. Got to get the right one. Mickey, as I mentioned before, can't eat chocolates, but she's very fussy about what she puts on her skin, so no toiletries. But honestly, I love fluffy socks, and I'd be happy if people bought me fluffy socks, and I love pyjamas. Lots of people like pyjamas. I've asked for pyjamas from my daughter, but I really wanted cotton ones. So I've asked her for a particular type. I've chosen some and sent her the link and said, please, can you get me these cotton pyjamas? Because what I find is that if they're not cotton, they kind of get very electric and static, and sometimes I also get very hot in them. So I start quite warm, and then by the end of the night I'm boiling. So, not always ideal. Pat doesn't like toiletries, wine, candles, ornaments, picture frames. They've not been mentioned yet. House decor, yeah, especially cheap ones. I'm a bit of a minimalist, says Zita, and if it's something I need to find room for, especially if it's not our style, then pick it up and dust weekly. I'll probably not appreciate it. Sharon likes a toiletries gift set because she's too tight to buy anything other than the supermarket budget basics. Again, it's just knowing someone, isn't it? We make a wish list, so at least gifts from husband and kids will be something I would choose. However, a gift from my parents will be something from a market they visited on holiday somewhere, so that can be a bit hit and miss. Jackie says a small group of her friends do Secret Santa and use an app. I mentioned the Elfster app earlier. They put in choices of what they would like. Last year I asked for specific coffee beans and a syrup, which lasted me most of the year. I mean, that's nice, isn't it? If you're going to do Secret Santa, people think, oh, Secret Santa is fine, you can just buy people anything. I just hate that cheap plastic tat. And I think I stopped doing Secret Santa at work when I was at work, because all I got were just regifted gift sets that I didn't want to use, or bits of cheap rubbish like jokey gifts. And I thought, I just don't want to encourage this. Didn't want to be ungrateful, but I would find out who I'd got, try and find a little bit about them and actually try and buy them something that I thought that they would like. And most people didn't do that. They just got a jokey gift, and I decided to opt out in the end. So if we'd had that, that would have been brilliant, because you could have got something for somebody in the office that perhaps you didn't know super well that they would appreciate. Julianne says anything chocolate because I can't eat it, but she loves smellies. So again, somebody else who does like smellies. I really like this idea. I tried to get my family to do this, but they wouldn't go with it. Not my immediate family, but my extended family. We do the Secret Santa, as I mentioned. I mentioned maybe buying something from a charity shop and having like a budget of £5 or £10, but it has to be something secondhand. But they weren't into it. But Susan does that with her 2 boys. They can only spend £5 and it has to be from a charity shop. And it's always fun to see what we get. And then we don't send cards, we donate to charity and send an email instead. Too much waste. Yeah, I've really restricted my card giving now to the older generation who appreciate cards still, and write a little note in them. It's not just to love Jane and Justin, but a little note telling them what we're doing and asking how they are. I think if you're going to send a card, at least do that, because otherwise, what is the point really? You might as well send them a message on Facebook or something, or an email. I think this is Harry, but I think it's a lady. They only do edible and drink related gifts now, and we know our loved ones' preferences, but also home baked gifts. Helen says no gift is unwelcome. I always thank the giver, and I'm so grateful they took the trouble and thought of me. If it's something I won't or can't use, I pass it on to someone who can make use of it. Bev says, I'm lucky my family always buy me gifts that I ask for, but from working at a charity shop, after Christmas we have so many gift sets. It's a win for the charity. Liz says books she's never going to read. I mean, yeah, books, you don't know what people have read. Unless they've asked you, again, unless they've asked you. I bought Mum a book for her birthday, but I knew it was the follow-up to The Salt Path by Raina Wynn, and we both loved The Salt Path, and she hadn't read the second one, and I'd listened to it already on BorrowBox, so I bought her that. It was a second-hand copy, so I knew that she would like that. So books that someone wants and will read, fair enough, but with books, it's so difficult to know exactly what people want. And I found that I used to always buy the girls, I'm still doing it, a second-hand book each as a kind of stocking filler. But I've started now asking them what they want, which books they want, and they've all given me ideas for books for Christmas this year. So even though I'm buying them second-hand, I tend to go to World of Books. I know that, it's something they're actually going to read. Michelle agrees that toiletries have to be the #1 most unwanted gift. For me, the next is perfume, unless it's the one I specifically wear, especially the cheap knockoffs that claim to be made in the same factory with the same ingredients, etc. And you need to keep applying because the scent is gone in an hour at best. Here she is, that girl. A girl you always have to get in the video, don't you? It's because she's beautiful and she knows you all think she's beautiful. Sorry, I've got sidetracked. Lola, you are distracting me. The third biggest pet hate for me is mulled wine or liqueur. This cat. Mulled wine or liqueurs such as that famous Irish cream. Anyone who knows me knows that's the only alcoholic drink I consume ever is a dry white wine or occasionally, even rarer, a quality dry cider. But somebody else has said that, if they wanted, she wants to rehome her Baileys, that they're happy to take it off her hands. I like a Baileys, actually. A chocolate Baileys at Christmas, or usually pretend chocolate Baileys. Will you stop now? You are bouncing around my camera. One of the fake ones from Lidl. It honestly tastes the same. I like it. I would be happy if somebody bought me a chocolate Baileys, because I would drink it at Christmas and then I would carry on drinking it every time I fancied a little chocolate treat throughout the year. Cold coffee now. Talk too much. This is funny. Jane says, I was once given a set of ashtrays by my mother-in-law. I didn't smoke. I didn't let anyone smoke in my house. This was about 35 years ago and I'm still scarred. I actually think that's one of the worst. I think that's second worst after the knickers and Tampax, actually. I mean, because she's either making a real point and saying, well, I'm a smoker, you need to let me smoke in your house, or she just doesn't care, does she? She is her ex-mother-in-law, I have to say. Okay, Kate says, I have 12 grandchildren and I don't tend to give gifts. I prefer to make memories. And that is true, Kids get given so much, and if you do something with your grandchildren, maybe you could have a little family party and that's your gift to them. I think that would be really nice. Kate says, surely gifts for adults are not really welcome as it just puts pressure on you to give in return and it's a cycle of overconsumption. It's really true. How about we all stop giving each other presents? Most people have more than enough. If you feel it spoils the fun not to have presents, then set a limit, maybe £10, and agree to buy something from a charity shop. Kate's my ex-sister-in-law. I agree with that. More fun and ingenuity is needed. Yeah, I'm with you, Kate. Andrea says clothing. Please don't buy anyone clothing unless they're under the age of 5. Meryl says anything plastic or anything that will sit in the vanity cupboard for 3 years collecting dust. That's going back to the gift sets, isn't it? Hillbilly Jilly, she doesn't like gimmicky socks. Now, Justin's been given these over the years and he is not a fan. He just wants plain black, good quality socks that aren't going to develop holes in 2 minutes. So, as Jilly says, they're always poor quality. It can cut into your feet. So it's editing Jane here, just hopping on to say that this video has become really, really long. I hadn't realised quite how long I'd been filming for. So I'm going to make this part 1 and I'll put out part 2 tomorrow. So if you want to hear the rest of what my Facebook group had to say, come back tomorrow, same time. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.